All right, Garen. So just came down our first descent, which hopefully you enjoyed.
It's great.
Let's talk a little bit about the features of the bike first, and then we'll kind of get back up, go for another rip. So I did notice we got a chip down here at the bottom.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about, I guess, frame features and what people can find on this side.
First thing is motor.
Okay.
New Bosch motor, Performance Line CX, comes out with the bike. Latest generation of Bosch's best high-end full power e-bike motor.
Okay. Give us the stats on that. Power, batteries. What do you got there?
600 watts peak, 85 newton meters of torque, which are consistent with a lot of the other stuff out there, like Shimano.
Okay.
The way it delivers the power, though, is the benefit here, I think, and also the durability. It's a gear-driven motor, not a belt-driven motor. They're known not to have a lot of durability issues, which is one of the reasons why we went with Bosch.
Okay.
But I mean, in my opinion, like this purple mode, the way this bike delivers power is better than anything I've ridden, as far as like it sensing what you're putting in and giving you exactly what you want in a really natural way on the trail. I was really, really blown away by that. Other cool things about the motor, why we chose it, is Bosch has really stepped up their game in like the tech. So that's wireless remote beaming to the drive unit, wireless speed sensor beaming to the drive unit. You don't have to have cables or wires running all over your bike. Really clean but informative display here, and nothing on the bar at all. So that's pretty good.
Okay.
But frame, yeah.
Battery size?
600 watt hour battery.
Okay.
Big one there. Like this, but they do offer an 800 watt hour battery. I think I said earlier that the goal behind this bike is to make the best bike for what we just did. That was like fun, high speed, grin inducing, single track mountain biking that we all love. Not like, am I going to be able to make it over the ridge to the next valley? Like that's for trekking bikes. This is a bike for single track riding. Okay. The 600 watt hour battery is over 2 pounds lighter than the 800.
Wow. Yeah.
And
noticeable.
And also for us, it's like, it's down here. So the 800 would extend into your down tube up here. Yeah. It's about the extra weight and then where that weight is. Yeah. So if you have a bunch of weight, it's very
noticeable when you have weight up there.
When you're trying to move the bike around, it's
manually.
Like,
every little bit farther up, it's like exponentially feels like the bike is heavier. The farther up it goes. So 600 watt hour battery, the newest Bosch drive unit. Yeah. Smart system controller.
Smart controller. Also with the bike, like on the on the market now, available a range extender. So you can have 250 watt hours of range extender. Bolts right there, hooks into the bike. If you want to go for a big ride that gets you over to the cafe on the other side of the mountain, then you just put that on at the beginning of the ride. Then you have an 850 watt hour bike. Okay. If you don't need all that battery like we don't today for your normal, everyday mountain biking we all know and love, then 600 is what you need, and you don't want to carry around what you don't need.
2 extra pounds of riding, yeah. Okay. So moving just above that drive unit, let's get into kind of rear suspension, progression, flip chip. Let's talk on that.
Our first ever 4-bar. Lots of stuff here. I mean, like all the hardware is everything you expect from Santa Cruz. These utilize our big pivot axles, the same stuff you see on VPP bikes. The upper link is a nod to our VPP lower links. It looks a lot like one of those you can sell. Yeah. There's a reason we did that in alloy, not carbon. It's a big, stiff hunk of metal. We don't want that to be flexy. We don't want to have to paint it. We want to call attention to it, not hide it. It for us is a sort of a cornerstone of the bike, and it needs to be pretty prominent. It needs to be beefy. There's a flip chip here. This flip chip is for your geometry. We can bust it out right now and do it. What you do is you take your 5mm. You can do this on the trail. You back these out, but not all the way. You push those both in, and you can flip that chip, tighten them back up, and you're lowering your bottom bracket and slackening your head tube angle, or lifting your bottom bracket and steepening your head tube angle. Okay. That adjustment is now decoupled from the progression adjustment, which is here. So now you can run your bike in like a high progression setting for like a bit more plush, off the top, soft feel, but you can run it in steep. You don't have to run low and progressive or high and linear. It's you can adjust those two things accordingly. Okay. Independently.
All right. And let's see, any other adjustability on the bike? Wheel size, anything like that?
MX wheels only for all sizes. We go small through XXL. Okay. Small is a mullet, not like a small, front wheel situation. Okay. Like our previous extra small
kept
had a 27.5 front wheel.
Okay. So all sizes are a mullet.
Yeah. Unlike any e-bike we've done so far, rear center is proportional. So like With Heckler SL, rear center grows as frame size increases, but with our full power bikes like Bullet and Heckler, the chainstay is what you get.
Okay.
And with this bike, as you grow in size, so does your chainstay.
Okay, very cool. I guess here's where we will cue the geo chart on this. I've got the size large, which is 480 millimeters of reach, you told me earlier.
Yeah, 480 reach, and I think a 445-ish chainstay.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
Okay, very good.
Let's consult the chart.
So how many frames or complete bikes are available, and what's the price range? And wait, will there be cable ports?
Good question. Cable ports. So we're doing C and CC Carbon as usual. CC Carbon do not have cable ports. All the bikes are spec'd and sold with Axis drivetrains. Maybe there's more offerings in the future. For the high end, we're saving a bit of weight, losing this port on the other side, and we're going no routing for the shifter.
Okay.
Bikes. We start at $7,300 or so with an R kit. It goes R build, S build, GX Axis build, X01, and XX. Top end build for this bike is $12,799.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Let's see. Any, I guess, parting words, major goals, things that Santa Cruz is most proud about? I know dropper post is one. I mean, you guys are leaving VPP and making some pretty drastic changes on suspension, but like when it came time to be like, we're making a new e-bike, what was that meeting like? What were the goals? What were the things that you wanted to improve over the other full power offerings?
Yeah, dude, good question. I think there's a lot we're proud about. I think what I'm proud about is that we're not tied to a thing when we know it's not the right solution for the problem. So 5 years ago, we may not have made a VPP or may not have strayed from VPP because it's such a brand marquee for Santa Cruz. But like horses for courses, we just have a fresh Bronson, fresh Hightower. Those are VPP bikes with very similar kinematic to this that we're really happy with. But we couldn't get there with a motor. Mm-hmm. So I'm really proud of us, I'm proud of the team being like, well, screw it. Let's build something different. I think we talked about this earlier, but I think you can build really crappy VPP bikes and you can build good ones. It takes time and iteration and experience doing it. Same thing with 4-bar. You can build junky ones. Is that a Coyote?
Might be. There are a lot of them out here.
4-bar, you can build a crappy 4-bar. This suspension configuration doesn't mean the bike's going to ride well. R&D, experience, time, and passionate people like Kieran and the team back at Santa Cruz are the way you build a bike like this. The fact that, yes, it's a 4-bar bike and it's our first 4-bar, but it is every bit a Santa Cruz. Like there's a lot of stuff in here that you won't find on other bikes. For instance, we got a dual row bearing down here, but we have a no tools situation to remove it. So we've developed this pretty sweet little spacer that goes in between the bearings with a rib. You can pound one bearing out from one side with a hammer and a punch, and you can put that spacer back in and pound the other bearing out. You don't need to get a blind puller. You don't need to do anything at special shop tools that people don't have in their garages. Mm-hmm. The bike comes apart really easy like any other Santa Cruz.
Okay. Yeah. Warranty.
Lifetime warranty.
Okay. Yeah. Very cool, man. Well, let's go turn that frown upside down and get another good descent in. I got to change the sticker on that thing. We put it on there for Sour Patch. She never smiles on camera, but you smile a lot. So let's go get more smiles on the trail. Well, guys, thanks for coming along for that first ride. If you'd like to hear what the first impressions are, I'll give them to you. Sadly, we just did not have any time after receiving this bike to get out for road trips, day trips, to go check out some other different types of terrain and scenery. But what I can say is in the couple rides that I did put in on this bike, it feels like a Santa Cruz, but also not in the same way. And kind of what I mean by that is that the way the bike feels underneath you, the way that it corners, the way that it plays and moves around is very much still Santa Cruz. And that's really cool because that's something that I've always liked about Santa Cruz, and I think a lot of other people also enjoy. What I haven't always loved about some Santa Cruz bikes is the VPP platform. That is obviously gone on this bike. And I think that is also really cool because it could bring some riders back into or coming to look at a Santa Cruz bike now that it's not a VPP platform. But I also do think that it is supportive enough and stiff enough that it probably is not going to turn off, diehard VPP fans. I think that they've done a pretty good job. And again, this is very early. We do not have enough time really dialing in the suspension and shock tune. But from what I have seen and in the certain moments of the trail stuff, I'm pretty sure we can work on improving our tune a little bit on. Like, I would say that this bike feels supportive and like a, you know, a little bit more of a stiffer, poppy and playful bike, but it also erases a little bit more of that chop and harshness when you're hitting some square edge hits or some of the faster repetitive hits. So for me, right, as someone who has been a little bit critical of VPP platforms in the past, in the amount of pedal feedback and chatter and kind of harshness that they would transmit on fast repetitive hits, it's really been interesting to see that I can tell that is a bit improved, and I think with some more time on the bike and tuning the shock even more, that it will reduce even more. So I'm really excited about this bike, and I'm very excited to ride it some more. Also, I really appreciate that they spec'd these Schwalbe radial tires on here. I am a huge fan, and I'm really stoked that they put the gravity casing on back. You might remember one of our first rides with Garen from Santa Cruz. He got a flat tire dropping into the first descent because of some light casing tires that were spec'd on a full power e-bike. So nice to see a gravity out back and an ultra soft trail up front. So let's move into the last thing that I think you guys probably want to hear about, and that would be the new Bosch drive unit. Robert and I have talked a little bit about it. He went to the Bosch Media Camp and has, you know, ridden some bikes with the drive unit, you know, that Bosch gave him over in Europe. He said that the drive units are very, very quiet, more quiet than the outgoing motor. I found that this motor was actually a bit louder, and I don't know if that's frame acoustics, but I would say that it definitely sounded a little more like aliens. If that makes sense at all. Like, it's kind of like a weird robotic, like whiny hum. And even like, you know, Sean, when he was out with us, he could kind of hear it as well. Like, I think, was it Independence Day? The Will Smith movie? Like, you remember when those aliens were talking and it kind of made that weird sound? It sort of had a noise a little bit like that. We've talked to Bosch. They say that's not normal, and they're actually currently at Santa Cruz and are gonna try to get us some feedback ASAP, so we'll leave a comment down below. But yeah, I will say for now, this, in my opinion, this drive unit has a different tone and a little bit louder tone. That was too much time talking about that, but performance of the drive unit is quite impressive, especially like on the flats. You know, kind of getting to and from the trail, ripping around on some flatter single track. I couldn't believe how fast this thing was. It was really cool. And then getting up into the steeps and in the power zone, I thought it was pretty impressive. A variety of cadences, it felt like it still delivered power pretty well. So yeah, overall, I think the next generation Bosch motor overall seems like a win. And most notably, I would say it just had a little bit of refinement and a change in tone for sure in the way that it sounds, but at least this drive unit in this frame. So thanks guys very much. Appreciate you watching. If you have any questions or things that you would like us to focus on for the long-term review, other bikes you'd like us to compare us to, please let us know. And of course, if you guys would be interested in supporting us in any way, head over to loamwolf.com, check out a shirt. We got a bunch of merch in there. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We'll see you out on the trails.